G'day folks, welcome to Calculus 1 for summer 2026 at USI. If you're an existing USI student, welcome back for the summer. And if you're a outside student, welcome to USI for the summer. We are going to have a hectic schedule for the next 7 weeks. Our course runs from Monday, which I think is May 18th, through July 2nd. So the 3rd is a holiday and our final exam is on July 2nd. And we are going to have material due regularly and spread throughout that period. So I hope you're ready for a busy, but hopefully fun and interesting semester, because calculus really builds from the ground up. We start with the fundamental ideas, we talk about limits, and we build the idea of a derivative, and then we explore the consequences, and then we look at integrals and we build them up, and then we work out methods to solve integrals. So it really is a theoretical and applied course, because you really have to think about why things are working. We build on that why, and then we get techniques out of it as well. And those techniques you can take forward into your engineering and your physics classes and your chemistry classes, and they help describe the world. Because that's why we care about calculus. Calculus is literally the language that much of science and engineering is written, because at heart, calculus is about describing change. Right? We talk about derivatives, and they're just a way of quantifying change, a quantity that's changing. And so it's really an important and fundamental language for the sciences and for engineering. And so that's why we do calculus, right? And we're going to build it this semester from the ground up. You may have seen some of it before. You may have seen it in high school. You may know some of the techniques. It's quite possible that you've seen all of the techniques we're going to talk about, but you may not have actually looked deeply at the why. And that's a big part of this course. So don't sort of let your guard down and think I'm going to ignore all he's talking, I'm going to ignore all of that. That's part of the understanding, right? It's not just being able to do a calculation at the end. It's to understand why that calculation works and how those pieces fit together. Because we all know AI can do the calculation 90% of the time, but it can't do the explanation. It doesn't really understand. It might be able to spit out an explanation, but AI doesn't understand. The value you bring is that you can understand. And so we're going to build that understanding in this course. That's really a big part of what we're doing. So, as I said, hectic course, essentially 7 weeks. We meet regularly, and by meet, I mean there are regular activities that you need to do. You need to be watching lectures. As you watch lectures, I recommend you take notes, work through problems as I'm working through the problems in the lecture videos. The lecture videos are 10, maybe 15 minutes long. There's multiple ones for each section. You should watch them all. You should work through the details. Then you should try the practice problems in the homework. There are also concept checks to work on. I'm going to talk about all of these big things in a moment when I turn to what the course actually looks like on Blackboard, and I'll show you the details of that. But there are regular due dates, and you should be ready to be engaged. If you were taking this class in person, it would meet 3 hours a day for 4 days a week. So think about that as the minimum that you should be doing. More than that, because even if you were meeting in the class 3 hours a day, you'd still have to go home and do homework. So expect to be spending that amount of time, 12, 15 hours a week on this course. If you're not spending that time, you're probably not engaging deeply enough. Everyone can do calculus. The trouble people have doing calculus is usually their algebra skills. So if you're feeling like your algebra skills may be a little weak, if you want some reinforcement, a good way to go back and review that is maybe look at Khan Academy's like Algebra 2 course or pre-calculus course. They have material that can help you review the ideas that you've definitely seen before, but may not remember or may not feel comfortable about. And of course, you can ask me as well. All right, so having said that, some big picture information, I want to take us through the course and look at how things are structured and what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so as you log into the course, you should see these beginning folders, and as it says, you should start here. So click on that folder, and your job is basically to work through this list of things in order as you start. So there's going to be a welcome video. It's not that video because I'm currently recording the video. That's last year's video. But you can find on this first page, so again, we open the welcome here folder. You're watching this video, so you obviously know where we are. Click on the syllabus And that's the first thing I think you should think about going through carefully. I'm going to download this syllabus so that we can look at it more easily outside of the environment. So let's just open that. There we go. So the syllabus here contains all of the main details of the course. So you can see the dates the course runs. There's a link here for my calendar. Let's just go to that. If you want to talk to me, you can just follow the link in the calendar. And hopefully that opens. There we go. And it will give you my office hours. And right now I haven't set them up, so I should have done that. But it'll give you office hours. You're going to click on one of those office hours. It'll take you to the booking page. It'll send me an email. And then you just join me at the Zoom link. So you join me at the on the syllabus page that we were just talking about. So if we go back to that syllabus, you can join me when you make an appointment at the Zoom link here, which you can also find in the email, I believe. All right, so you can read all the details of the syllabus. The textbook, you should have a copy. There's an e-version on the Blackboard page that you can access. I'm just going to go through a few highlights here. One important thing to note is that calculators cannot be used on tests and quizzes, and that's a state requirement. So just be used to the idea by the time you get to the tests and quizzes that you need to be doing the work without a calculator, without anything but pen and paper. All right, we're going to work through these ideas, and you're going to be frustrated and you're going to be struggling at points. And that's okay as long as you reach out and get help when you need it, right? It becomes a problem when you feel stuck and you feel like you've got no support. I'm here to support you. There are tutors to support you, and I'm just going to skim down to that section. Under Getting Help, you can see that you can make an appointment with me on Zoom using that calendar link that I showed you above. You can send me an email. There's also links in the online homework for email that I'll show you in a sec. And Academic Skills or Academic Success also have tutors, so you can sign up for their tutoring through this website, and it is online. So you can access tutors for free online as part of this course. The course structure itself, each day you're going to watch some videos. So you're going to watch the videos, you're going to take notes, as I said before, right? Work along with me in the problems, make note of things you don't understand. You can send me emails, you can work through them later, you can look in the textbook. You should be working along in the textbook as we work on this stuff as well. After each video, or not each video, but after many videos, there are concept check quizzes. They're short, open book, multi-choice, untimed quizzes that just lets you immediately apply the ideas from the video. So it's just a quick check of the actual ideas that were discussed in the previous video. And then there's online homework, which picks up there and goes on and has more difficult problems perhaps, but more extensive list of problems for each section. And then we have weekly presentations that I'm calling focus practice problems, where I give you a problem and everybody does a VoiceThread presentation on that problem. And then everybody watches everybody else's problems. You don't have to watch everybody's, but you'll watch a couple of other people's problems, comment on them in a meaningful way. I'll talk more about this when the first assessment is due in week 2. All right, so I give you more information and how those things are graded. There are 3 tests and a final exam in this course, and the final exam is comprehensive. And there's lots of details in here about uploading things. So when you're uploading your work, you should make it neat, well written, appropriately use notation. Things like equal signs are important. It's the grammar of mathematics. Mathematics is a language we're learning to speak. And so I'm going to care about that as well as the final answer. When you're actually uploading your work, I want you to upload PDF files, and there's more information in the course about how to do that if you don't already know. All right, we talked about getting help. Here's the grading scale. Here are the letter grade cutoffs. So for example, looking at this, if you get above a 60 and below a 70, you get a C. 70 to 75 is a C+. If you hit 75, you get a B. 75 to 85 is a B+. You get the idea. I'm going to release information for this course generally on the Friday afternoon the week before. So there's lots of deadlines, and let's go back and look at the other document on this page. So back to our main page. If we look at this other document, it is the course calendar. And with any luck, it eventually appears. There we go. And the course calendar tells us what's due on any given day. So looking at week 1, you've got videos and readings. So on Monday, you should do the reading. Oops. On Monday, you should do the reading on chapter 1 or watch the videos on chapter 1. Both, presumably. On Tuesday, you should watch the videos on section 2.1 and 2.2. On Thursday, you should do it in 2.3 and 2.4. On Friday, section 2.5. Right? Activities are things you need to do, like post an introduction video, which I'll talk about in a sec, or these focus practice assignments, the presentations I talked about a moment ago. So there's one of those due on the Tuesday of the second week, and everything is due at 11:59 p.m. on the day that it's due. So if it's listed here, focus practice 1 is due on May 26th, it's due at 11:59 p.m. on May 26th. That makes sense. All right, and then there's online homework. That's listed here. That's the web work. So this 2.1, 2.2, that's the online homework that's due on May 26th. Here's what's due on May 28th. I've got this set up in our Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday setup. So there's a break in the middle of the week where you can catch up. I don't expect you to do everything on the day I'm telling you, right? You don't have to watch chapter 1 videos on Monday and 2.1, 2.2 on Tuesday. Maybe you watch them all on Monday. Maybe you watch them all on Wednesday. But the important thing is quizzes, which you see here, focus practice problems, and the webworks have specific due dates on days. So just make sure you've watched the videos and you're feeling comfortable by the time you have to take a quiz on it. So 2.1 and 2.2 is there. The first quiz with real mathematical content is on the Friday of the first week, section 2.1 and 2.2. Right? And then there's a quiz generally every Tuesday and Friday as we work through the semester, except for weeks where there are tests. So I'll have a test on the Monday of week 3, 5, and 7, and then the final exam is on the Thursday of week 7. There's a lot here, right? This is overwhelming to begin with. You can come back and look at this. I'm just trying to give you an idea. This course calendar is your guide. I would print it out and put it by wherever you're doing your work because it will help you remember what's due. But everything is also on Blackboard. So having said all that, let's come back to the rest here. Let's go to week 1. Week 1 has a schedule. This schedule matches what I just went through in the course calendar. It just lists it in a different way. It just gives you another way to check the information, see what's due. But as you look down the course, you can also see what's due. So let's, for some reason, I have gone out of the, no, I haven't. This is good. So in week 1, we've got that schedule, and I've posted this Essence of Calculus by 3 Blue 1 Brown. It's a good introduction. It's a high-level introduction. It doesn't have the level of detail that we're talking about technically, but it gives you an idea of the why of calculus. So I recommend you watch that. But a normal lecture video looks like this, and you can see here, here's the content for the week on the right-hand side. Right, you can see on Monday we've got this stuff, on Tuesday we've got stuff, on Thursday there's some things. So here's the first lecture, and it's 4 videos. It's kind of long, 5 videos. It's review material. I'm not going to be explicitly testing, but it's just a reminder of some of the things we've done. You can see a brief summary. The videos are all on YouTube. You can watch them. And then once you've done that video, you should have a go at the WebWork problems. So WebWork is our online homework system. So if you click on that, it will take you to the WebWork server. Okay, so now we see the intro to WebWork, and you can see there is the first problem. Go into the first problem. This is just designed to take you through. It's fairly straightforward, but you can see that there are, well, you can't see it yet, but there are other sections. So you go to 2.1 and you'll get problem 1, and it asks questions based on what is happening in the lectures. So these are the homework questions that build on top of the lectures. So if you go to Tuesday, when we have where we have the lecture for section 2.2 and 2.1, we've got lectures on instantaneous velocity and tangent lines. Right. So there's a couple of videos to watch, and then a link to the assignment. And the assignment is this. And then once you've watched the video, you go to the concept check. So once you enter the concept quiz, you can just push start and it will present the quiz. This, you can see some code there, but it should render pretty quickly into readable mathematics. If it doesn't, just reload the quiz. Hopefully that works. But you just decide what you want. So the displacement of a particle at time t is given by a function s of t. Find the average velocity. Well, between a and b, there's the average velocity. So you select it, you submit it. Hopefully I got it right. You don't need to download that, but it tells you immediately whether you were right or wrong. It gives you an answer to the quiz for many of them, and then you work your way through. You can work on the web work, then you go to section 2.2 on Tuesday. Same idea. There's a lecture, and then following the lecture is a concept quiz, and then there's another lecture, and then there's another concept quiz, and then there's web work. So these are very similar each day. So as you get used to the workflow, you will not be surprised what's happening. The first quiz is on Tuesday, and it wants you to practice the technology. So there's a lot of information here. Give it a read, give a go at the quiz. I'm going to post another announcement early next week before the quiz, so Tuesday morning, so that to tell you the things you should think about as you prepare for the quiz. The first quiz has no mathematical content. All right, and then this goes on, and on Tuesday you also somewhere should present your introduction video. So this is the first thing you should do. The link's actually in the Welcome to Calculus section, but go to the instructions and read the instructions and then post your welcome video. And that welcome video is a welcome to everybody else in the course. You're saying hello to me and the other students in the course. And then on the Thursday, I want you to reply, or by Thursday night, I want you to reply to at least 2 other students. Those replies you can do as soon as you've posted your video. If there are other videos there, go ahead and reply to them. That's fine. All right, so hopefully that gives you some idea of what the course looks like, how it's structured. There's a lot of stuff in your face right now, so don't feel too stressed if it doesn't immediately make sense. The structure of the course continues week after week. What else did I want to say from this syllabus? There's information there on the online exam proctoring. We'll talk about that with the Tuesday quiz. And there's lots of information on getting help. And I encourage you to read through the syllabus and get an idea what's going on. Okay, hopefully that gave you an idea of what the course looks like, what the expectations are, what your workflow is going to look like as you work on these things for the next month. Give me a shout if you've got questions. If you need support in any way, you can email me, you can book an appointment for Zoom. There's tutoring through Academic Skills, all of the ideas I discussed before. You're not on your own. I'm here to support you, but I don't know you need that support if you don't reach out to me. So don't hesitate to do that. All right. Thanks for listening to this long video, and I hope you have a great start to the course. Ciao.